Hey everybody, welcome to the Cow Emporium. Today we're out in the garden, first thing before we've done any of our farm chores, because we're going to be doing a small garden harvest today, and I'm going to be cutting some lettuces and collecting some root vegetables from the garden. It's not the biggest garden harvest, but it's a backyard garden harvest. It is part of our 100 days of field to plate. Our 100 days frost-free here on the farm in southern Alberta. And I'm curious. I know I've been watching my YouTube friends and seeing what they've been harvesting sort of from all over the world. And I'm curious, what are you harvesting? Maybe you don't have a YouTube channel, and just let me know what's growing in your backyard. It certainly doesn't have to be to the scale that we have here. There are people I know have bigger gardens and way smaller gardens. And that's lovely. So just let me know what's growing in your garden. So first I'm gonna harvest some romaine lettuce. Also, our temperatures get pretty hot here during the day. We're running at about 30 or more degrees Celsius, which is pretty warm. And the later in the day that comes, your lettuce and your kale and those kinds of things will be wilty. So let's get some of those picked out of the garden to eat later. So I brought out a big colander for the root vegetables, for some beets and hopefully some potatoes. I'm going to get Glenn to help me look for some potatoes. But first, I think we should get some of this beautiful romaine. Now some of these heads are just starting to form, so I'm just going to go down to the bottom of it. I'm going to get as many leaves as I can, and I'm just going to cut from the bottom. And here we are. That's beautiful, hey? Of course it needs rinsed inside. That's no problem. Maybe grab another one of those. There we go. It's lovely. So fresh. Anything that's left over in the garden, I can feed the chickens. Chickens are really good at eating up the things that we miss. Now these guys are starting to bolt, so we're gonna get those. These guys here are going to seed already, so I'm afraid I might have missed those. But I'll take some leaves off this one and see. It's possible that even I could stick them in the frying pan and stir fry them. So here we go. It's beautiful, hey? Got some delicate lettuces. We might as well take a few kale leaves while we're out here. The bugs have been getting at this plant a little bit, but I mean, that's whatever, that's okay. That piece is actually one of the earliest leaves. I'm gonna stick that in the composter. And so I don't know how you guys break off your kale leaves, but I'm just gonna pull them off from kind of the bottom. No need to like cut these guys, I don't think. That's so interesting, hey? These are red Russian kales. They're really neat. If you think you don't like kale, try harder. I mean, I dehydrated some last year. I blanched it first, and then I dehydrated it, and we've been adding it to stews and stuff. And something that was super popular was I roasted the kale in the oven and made kale chips. So I took the kale and I massaged it with some olive oil and then salt and pepper and seasonings on it. And that was super popular. I made it just a tad too salty the first time, so I don't need to make it quite so salty. That was delicious. It's like a little chip and it gives a nice crunch. This is a giant row of beets. I don't exactly know why I put beets in here, except that my beets weren't growing in the big garden. So I put them in here. So I'm gonna harvest a bunch out of here. Look how cute the beet is. And we definitely use the tops off of these for stir fries. Or we just saute them in the frying pan with a tiny little bit of oil, or not even. And then we just throw some vinegar in there. You can use regular vinegar, balsamic vinegar, rice vinegar. It's delicious. If you haven't tried greens sauteed in vinegar, you should do that. So I know I'm disturbing these plants up a little bit here, but they'll be fine. We will eat those little beets. That'll be super fun. Later today, these plants in here will be so happy to have like a little extra space to grow in, that these beets will start forming bigger and bigger beets. So underneath my garden fabric, I have some mustard greens growing, some daikon radishes, some kohlrabies in there, and some kale at the back. And the chives are under here. They just happened to get covered because there was something beside them that needed covered. But oh, look how beautiful those mustard greens are. Now you can see the damage that happened before I got the cover on. That's okay. I forgot. I need to harvest some of these guys. Oh, and there's a bug. I don't think that guy really eats plants, though he is interested in being on there. So I'm not going to harvest whole bunches of mustard greens. You see this one's going to seed. I'm just going to pull some leaves off and throw them in the bowl here. I'm not going to take too many leaves off of each plant, just a few, and maybe the lower ones even, so that the air will circulate around the base of them. Nice. Things are growing along nicely. The carrots were really slow starting this year, and I'm going to be picking some beets out of this row right here. They're about the size of a golf ball now, which is perfect. Zippy and I have been snacking on some green garden peas as they've been coming ready. That's my sister-in-law's beautiful half of the garden. She's got lots of taters planted over there. Because we have this garden right out our back door, I'm not going to harvest a ton of stuff. So here's some beets that I harvested. Tubular, man! I've forgotten that I planted 3 different kinds of beets, possibly 4. And there's some golden beets, and their tops are more like a Swiss chard top compared to standard red beets that have these green tops with the purple veins running through them. Anyway, so if I combine these with what I pulled out from the lettuce garden bed, that's gonna be plenty of beets for us to eat fresh. And then we can come back and harvest some more when we want to. So we're not really sure what to expect underneath our potato plants because we haven't harvested any, but these potato plants on the end especially are in the way of these new caraganas that we have started a new hedgerow of. So Glenn is going to do the maiden dig up some taters and see what we got.
I'll feel over here, this other one's blooming. It's starting to bloom.
Yeah, the blooming taters might have more chance of having babies.
The one on the end's a little smaller than...
Yeah, it is. It was probably later starting. Oh, that's cute. Where?
I think we should leave it another week.
Oh, another week? Oh, yes, I agree. So no potato harvest today.
Sorry.
Sad face. Well, I guess, we still have potatoes left from last year.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, well that wraps up today's harvest. I'll throw a photo up of everything that I've collected. I guess our only root vegetables today are going to be the beets, which will be delicious anyway. And I'm going to saute those in a pan with some butter and some salt and pepper and throw some dill in there, because this time of year, man, I love fresh dill on everything. So you will have to come back to see our new potatoes, because we're going to leave them so that we actually harvest some potatoes from a plant. Okay, take care everybody.